Hello and welcome to this new social media event I call Recap and Preview. And basically what it is a chance for me to remind us where we've been in our past worship experience and where we're going to go ahead in our next worship experience. It's really so that our church members can be kept in touch with what's going on in our worship services and where our focus is. And this past Sunday, we started a 9-month journey or a 9-month focus on one simple word that we find in the New Testament. It's the word encouragement. And we focused on a man by the name of Barnabas. I encourage our church and anyone who's watching to basically think of ways that people encourage you. Think of things that people do that encourage you each day. And I challenge our church that we want to write these things down on these leaves. Now we got leaves that we cut out and we're wanting people to write down how people encourage them. And then we're putting it on the tree behind us so that we can fill up this tree with the beautiful fall colors and also leaves of encouragement throughout these 9 months. This focus is going to go all the way through the end of May. We're going to try our best to fill up this tree with words of encouragement, with different ways that people have encouraged one another. So we look forward to seeing how many leaves we can place on this tree, and hopefully we can fill up the tree. So this past Sunday, we began this journey and this focus by talking about a man by the name of Barnabas. He was our example this past Sunday. Now, don't know how much you know about Barnabas, but Barnabas was a person who introduced Paul to the apostles when he was in Jerusalem. Barnabas was also a man who invited his nephew, John Mark, to go with them on missionary trips. And then John Mark decided after a while that he wanted to go back home to Jerusalem. And so he left Barnabas and Paul as they were doing missionary work. And later on in life, Paul and Barnabas decided to go back to the people they had seen before just to see how they were doing. And Barnabas wanted to invite John Mark to come back with him. Well, Paul didn't want to do that since John Mark left them the first time. But Barnabas said he still wanted John Mark to come. He wanted to encourage him. He wanted him to come because he was one that helped do some of the missionary work. And so Paul and Barnabas split up, and Paul took Silas with him, and Barnabas took John Mark, and he encouraged John Mark to do work and to do missionary work. So we talked this past Sunday about who Barnabas was and how Barnabas was known as the son of encouragement, basically not because of who he was, but basically because of his actions in helping John Mark. So that leads us up to this week. Where do we go from here? Well, one of the things we're going to be doing is throughout this 9 months, we're going to take different people in the Bible and we're going to focus on them. And we're going to see how they were encouraged or how they encouraged other people. And this Sunday, we began a 4-week study on a man by the name of Samuel. Now, Samuel was the person who anointed Saul as king of Israel under the leadership of God. God told him to go anoint Saul as king of Israel. Well, as Saul was a great king, but he disobeyed God this time, as we're going to be looking at. And because of that, God told him through Samuel that he was no longer going to be king. Well, since Samuel was the one who anointed Saul as king, it really got to Samuel, and Samuel became very discouraged about what had taken place. He became very angry at Saul, and he told Saul that your kingship is being taken away from you. And while Saul tried to talk to Samuel about going to God on his behalf, it wasn't going to happen. God had told Samuel what was going to take place. And so what we look at this Sunday, where we find ourselves, is in 1 Samuel chapter 16. And we're looking and seeing how God is talking to Samuel and telling Samuel not to mourn anymore for Saul, but that he has something new for him to do. He's encouraging him. And this morning, what we're going to talk about is going to be the fact that God encouraged Samuel. And he encouraged Samuel to keep on going no matter what happens. Sometimes we just have to let things go and keep following God. So I hope you join us this Sunday morning as we begin looking at Samuel. If you miss a Sunday, we'll be doing this each and every week so that you can catch up on where we were and that you can see where we're going to go ahead. So we hope you'll be with us this coming Sunday.